welcome. This is Erica Glessing, and this is the Sassy Sunday episode of the Erica Glessing Show, where you see 8 minutes of inspiration for entrepreneurs and lightworkers. You know, I'm just so thrilled about Martin Luther King Day coming up, and I thought today what I would share with you is some how-tos on connecting to spirit. So this is something that my first experience was in 1998. And I was riding my horse. I was up in this really remote area in the Mission Hills area. It's called Mission Peak area in San Jose, close to Fremont, California. And I was up in these hills and I got a message, and it was a really clear message. And I had never received a message from Spirit before. So I wrote back down, and I knew who it was for. So it was for the man who owned the ranch at the time, who has since passed, and he was about 85, and it was a message for him. And I didn't know what to do. My gosh, you guys, it came in really clear. It was this clear, like a crystal bell. And so I didn't say anything. I was like, I swear to gosh, I got this message and I didn't say anything. So then like a month goes by and I go back up in the hills, and the same message came in. I'm not lying. So I got this message, and now it's kind of like in my head. And so it's about 6 a.m. and I'm up to see my horse early in the morning. And basically, his name was Ernie. So Ernie and I were the only two people at the ranch at the time. So I look at him, and again, you guys, this is a long time ago. So I look at him and I go, hey, do you ever do you know that you can get messages from the other side? Are you interested in that? Oh my gosh, he lit up. He said, this is the old Republican, like conservative belief system kind of person. And he says, oh, I love that. I listen to a show every morning. It's a radio show where they connect to spirit and they bring messages from the other side. He goes, I'm fascinated by that. And I look at him, I go, okay, well, I got a message for you. And he said, oh, I want to hear it. And I said, okay. It's a grandchild is a grandchild is a grandchild. And it was I thought it was like from his dad. Well, turns out, it's fascinating. The ranch the place I was riding when I got the message was the homestead. So it was where he was born. He was actually born in that homestead 85 years previous to this, reading. And Pappy was his father, and he had 5 children, of which every single child got an equal part of the estate, which at that time was kind of rare. This was a real long time ago, and he had both daughters and sons. And so at that time, Ernie was working on his will, and he had grandchildren, but he kind of had some favorites because some lived with him and some didn't. Some were from other of his kids, and so he did have favorites. And he said, it made perfect sense. Excuse me. It was like the perfect message at the perfect time. So after that happened, I was aware that I could get those messages. And so one of the things that I do to receive message from spirit is really simple. I actually just ask for it. And then I don't demand that it come in any set way. I listen for, it's like listening for the whispers. And this thing of like asking for the message and then allowing it to show up however it shows up, there's a real key in that. Because what happens sometimes if you really, really want a message really badly, you actually inadvertently are blocking it because you want it to be a certain message or from a certain spirit and some spirits on the other side like don't want to talk, and they don't talk a lot. I did one reading one time for someone who her dad just really was nonverbal. He didn't talk a lot to her at all. And so I said, he's not really saying much. And that was actually, guys, a validation because that person was so nonverbal. So I encourage you to clear your head. If you're going to ask for messages from spirit, one really good way to do it is to sit with a pen. I'm left-handed, so I'm picturing a pen in my left hand. But if you're right-handed, obviously put the pen in your right hand. And then have a blank piece of paper and then write the question and just relax and just see what shows up and write the answer without any attachment to what it is, like without caring what the answer is. Because sometimes what happens for our own relatives, say it's my mom or something, I'm gonna care too much. Like I'm gonna put too much energy on the answer, in which case that tends to kind of fog things up, if you can imagine that. So have a nice quiet space for yourself when you're asking for messages. And you can also ask for something to show up, but I want to give you some hints about that. So I had a friend and she said, well, my dad's not listening to me because I asked for this one song. It was like an obscure German lullaby that she loved that he sang to her or something. But the problem was, like, when could you get that on the radio? Like, almost never. So we switched it and we asked for like a more, like an old Eagles song, I think is what she ended up, or a Doobie Brothers song or a Michael Jackson song, something that can be more easily manipulated, or an artist, but not like a specific song. So now it's more easily manipulated because Spirit can actually manipulate. Like they can put like the idea of a song into the DJ's head and they'll play it. You can actually get songs on the radio as a sign that Spirit's listening. But you don't want to have one that's so insanely obscure that it's almost impossible to put that idea in the DJ's head. Or you don't want one that's so common that you don't believe that it was Spirit talking to you. So it's kind of this interesting place of a unique song or artist that's maybe not heard all the time, but that you could say, hey, if this is real, if you're really getting this message, can you play an Eagles song for me on the radio or something? And then just kind of relax and see when it shows up, because it might take a few days or a week or 2 weeks. Like it might take a month. So time is kind of interesting with Spirit. Also for me, it's this like absolute knowing that there can be communication and that you can receive it. And when you absolutely know that you're going to receive messages, and I'm just, again, so joyful. I actually brought in a very talented channeling expert. She's a psychic, and her name is Deanna Swaim. And she will be doing, she did the channel, actually we recorded it, I think around December, in the spirit of Martin Luther King Day. So it's going to air tomorrow. And I went and spent the day with her yesterday, and we got so many more messages. So we're actually going to be doing another reading. We're honored and privileged to bring to you the messages from, and it's bigger than the spirit of Martin Luther King. It's actually bigger messages of peace. And she connects to, she also connects with Spirit with Marcus Aurelius and Lincoln. She gets a lot of messages all the time. She has a council. So she's kind of more of a daily, everyday psychic. I mean, in the sense of she's always getting messages for 30 years. And for me, it's something that happens every once in a while when it's super intense, but it isn't something that I do for my business or anything. So I'm waxing a lot. I'm sure I went past 8 minutes. I wanted to really show you that you could connect to Spirit yourself, that it is magic, but it is something you can do. So I want to have you all know it's magic and it's something you can do yourself, and you can call in messages from Spirit, especially if you have a special tie, special connection, a relative. But you can get messages from other spirits too. Like just one more thing. Oh my gosh. I went to the home of the late musician Prince. And I was in Minnesota visiting one of my cousins, and I thought, I'm 2 miles from his house. How could I not go? So I went to his beautiful estate, and it was, I sat there and I received messages, and it was so beautiful. But he really wanted people to write songs. And so if I was a songwriter, I think I would call in the spirit of Prince, because he would love to help more people write music. So if you have a song inside you, go ahead and call for the spirit of Prince to inspire you, because he would like more people to write music and more people to sing and more people to have songs show up. And that's pretty intense. Isn't that interesting when I brought that in? So everyone have an absolutely amazing day, and really be sure to tune into the recording of the session with where we were asking for messages of peace. And this is airing on the 21st, and it's the show right after this. So if you're listening to this sometime in the future, please tune into that episode. It's longer than normal. It's 30 minutes. So have a most amazing day, and I look forward to connecting with you.